Hello and welcome to Mr. Hogg's rather scuffed and mid-tier guide to the Nurburgring endurance course. I'm doing it in the Genesis G70 Gr4 car because it seems to be the meta this week in this week's daily race C, which is 2 laps of the Nurburgring. I don't usually make guides or videos, but there is definitely fewer for the Nurburgring, so I'll try and make this one as quick as possible, but as concise and giving you as much information as possible. Basically, the reason I'm doing it is a couple of my mates that like doing the daily races that just avoiding this one. They sort of think they're no good at the course, can't remember this and that. I'm going to try and give you really obvious braking points. It means you can get around the course safely, consistently, and then with time you can pick up your pace easily. It becomes by far the most fun course on the game if you learn what you're doing and get the flow of it. So that's what I'm here to help you with. I'm by no means one of the fastest in the world. This lap is enough for 325th in the world as of the time I'm making this video. It's 8 minutes 36 with the fastest being 8:30 or 8:29 I think, so 6 or 7 seconds off, but it's an okay time. So I'll get started. I'll pause a few times on the first lap and then I'll play it freely afterwards. I'll get going because I know this is going to be a long video anyway. So here we are. First braking zone we are looking for is just before the 100 board where the grass meets the concrete or the concrete meets the grass. We're going to slam on the brakes hard in a straight line, drop it down to second gear or first gear for the corner if you like. And then accelerate as soon as your car hits the little bump, boom, and go. Next we're looking for the road on the right hand side. As you see that, just dab the brakes a tiny bit. You might even want to just coast around this corner. And then as you're doing so, hold your speed on the inside and look for the orange accelerating marker right in front of us now. As that hits the middle of your screen, you should be able to go full on throttle. Make it around the corner, no problem. About where I am now is where I'm going to lift off and hit the brakes reasonably hard. So it's just before the green AstroTurf on the right finishes. And this one you want to tuck it in as tight as possible to the left hand side to open up the next right number. Down to second, maybe first if you want to. Accelerating gradually, hitting the inside of this. Now we're going to go full on the throttle. It's a bit of a lottery on the outside whether you get a penalty or not. I genuinely don't know what causes it to be a penalty or not a penalty. I've been really wide and not got a penalty. I've been on the middle and got a penalty, so good luck here. But I think it's down the inside here, which is pretty safe. Accelerating out, looking for the 100 board for our next brake marker. At the 100 board we are simple hairpin, hard in a straight line down to second gear, and then as we go halfway around the apex, looking to get on the power early. Getting a good exit. So halfway round, pull on the power up to third, stopping the unstable. The white line, we're going to dab the brakes and turn into the left, taking a little bit of the curb. Getting on the power as early as we can, and pull into the left-hand side of the track. As the car straightens up, we want to just, again, graze the brakes, drag the brakes 25, 30%, pull it around the corner until we're ready to see that big tree ahead of us, the tallest one. That one is where we're going to pull on the accelerator and get around. Well done. Come up to the chicane, you don't need to do much. You want to carry about 90 miles an hour, brake at the 50 zone, and straight line it as much as possible. So we're going to brake here, we're going to straight line it as much as possible, so be greedy with the curbs, take quite a lot of curb. As I say, try and carry 90 plus miles an hour. 89 is okay, can do that a bit faster, and accelerate out on the second curve. Now, I don't really have an official braking marker, but it's just 15-20 yards before that marker in the pit lane. Hit your brakes pretty hard, get it down to second and turned in. Make sure you are ready to accelerate so you don't go straight on into the wall. Well done, you've completed the endurance part. Only about another 7 minutes to go. First corner on the Nordschleife, you do need to pull this wide after the barrier, so wide to the right after you pass the barrier. Drop it down to second gear. You really want to miss the curve. If you miss the curve, you'll start bouncing quite a lot and you'll struggle on acceleration. So go wide, drop it down to second and miss the curve. If so, you should be able to cleanly accelerate away. We're flat out here for these right-handers. We're not touching the curve. Use the width of the course to make sure you stay on track. Pretty easy. Now we're looking on the right-hand side for the mud patches. As this first one ends, just gone past it, and before the second muddy patch starts. We're going to brake pretty hard and hold it around this corner, not 100% because you'll slide off, so it's like 75% brake, holding it around this corner. Lifting a little if we need to on the brakes if we start to slide, and then applying a little bit more brakes for the right-hand side, right-hand turn. Gradually getting our speed. So you can see there I went a little bit too deep and I'm onto the grass. That is not good for the acceleration, so not optimum by any stretch. A little bit too aggressive into that. But we are able to accelerate, hold it, and prepare ourselves for this next little right-left combo. Tiny brake before each corner, not much, carry your speed. So, tiny brake, turn in, tiny brake, turn in. You can use the inside curve a lot. As the tarmac turns darker here, we want to be on the left-hand side, and again, just grazing the brakes and steering into it and preparing for a really strong exit onto the long straight. As fast as we can, carrying as much speed out of that corner is very important, so we take the speed down this straight. There's two kinks in this straight, they are both definitely flat out. This first one's steering gently to the apex, and then add a bit more steering as we go around the apex. Hold that bit more, you should get round nicely. Gear change to 6th is, I don't know, divides opinion. I like to do it early, so I'll do it at the top of the hill, just there. I think you pick up a lot of speed down the hill in 6th. Here, this is again a flat out turn. This 5 kilometre sign on the right hand side is where you want to turn in gently and then again gradually add a little bit more steering so it's enough to get around the corner. So we turn in gently, turn a little bit more and maybe not so much. End of the curb, we're going to smash full brakes in a straight line. We're going to turn it down to 3rd gear, and as we go around the corner, we're just going to wait for the car to grip, and as soon as it does, on the throttle. 5th, 4th, 3rd, I've gone wide, oops, but it gripped, and I've put my accelerator down. Definitely lost a bit of time by going wide there. Again, we're flat out until we get to the next section, which is quite complex, really difficult to get through. But we'll manage it. Up to 6th at the bottom of the hill, and as we see the white sign on the right hand side, we are going to change to 5th and just dab the brakes. I think you could probably do it without dabbing the brakes, but it just leaves a bit of a bigger braking zone into the next section. So we're going to change to 5th, dab the brakes. As we get halfway through this little straight, we're going to go much harder on the brakes and drop it down to 3rd. I like taking this first right-hander with high revs. It seems to grip the car up a little bit more, which means we can feather the throttle and actually accelerate a little bit until we're just in front of this walkway where we are going to go hard brakes in a straight line to make sure we get stopped for a sharp left-hander. We will be down to 2nd gear, so brake, brake, brake. Out here you can accelerate in 2nd or 3rd. I wouldn't accelerate going up the curb, but you can definitely accelerate once you're on top of the curb. Won't bounce you around too much. Okay, we're accelerating. The next left hand is a tiny kink, but stay to the right hand side. Left-hander flat is a tiny lift only, Take loads of speed around there and then looking for this writing on the road. Just after the writing on the road, brake and change down to 3rd gear. Again, always about carrying your speed up from about this point onwards, and I would miss both curbs if you can. Well done, try and stay off this curve so it doesn't bounce you. Well done, up to 4th. And this last white sign on the left hand side is a perfect brake marker, so quite hard on the brakes and down to 2nd gear, turn it in for a late apex, and then when you get to that late apex, up to 3rd gear and accelerate. 3rd, 2nd, late apex and go. So this next left-hander is quite recognisable. We've got the catch fence and we know it's flat out. The one afterwards can catch people out. It's the triple apex right-hander. So once we're through that flat out bit, we've got to recognise that this corner's coming up. It's a fast corner. You need to graze the brakes just as this curb ends on the left or the curb starts on the right. Hold the brake to just before the 2nd apex on about 30%. Grazing the brakes, steering in, and about here we can start to get on the throttle. Before we get to this curve on the right, we need to be quite heavy on the brakes. This is the slowest section of the course. We're going to brake quite heavy and turn around the corner. And then once we're straight after that, we're going to go even heavier on the brakes to make sure we get it stopped for the really sharp dip and left-hander. Hard on the brakes again, turned in and accelerate out in 2nd or 3rd. Keep the pedal down through this little kink in the right hand side. You will see the road on the right first, but your braking marker is actually the end of the red curb. It's a downhill braking zone, so it's easy to slide, don't brake too late. So end of the curb there is where I'll start to put on my brakes. I'll just drift around the corner, and when I feel it's got enough grip, you can put your foot down, use a little, that's probably too much curb. This is quite an important corner, very uphill. If you lose loads of speed, you will not gain it back, so carry as much speed, try and carry 80 miles an hour. It's a gentle dab of the brakes at the end of this curve on the left. Turn in and accelerate hard in third gear. Carrying all that speed up the hill, lovely jubbly. We're flat out again, we're flat out again. There's a single left-hander, and you now know, because of that single left-hander, you're coming up to a really important corner. And we're looking out for that black sign on the right-hand side. But there, just before you get to it, we're going to go hard on the brakes and down to third gear. Very similar to a corner we did a minute ago. We're going to go hard on the brakes, drop 2 gears, and then use a late apex. As soon as we get to that late apex, hard on the throttle for a long, long straight. Carry speed into this long straight. So go early on the throttle there. And away we go. So just a little breather. Well done. You've got through over half the lap. Successfully done. Take a little breather. Keep it flat out. Keep it on the grey stuff. Have a sip of your beer. And prepare yourself. What isn't a braking zone, but it is a difficult corner. We get around this right-hander, then we know it kinks left, and then we know there's a sharper left with a big curve. It's a little lift off. Try and carry 125. About here, you need to just lift off a tiny bit. I would advise missing the curb. And once you're at the apex, floor again. It should, with the steering still added, it should be enough to hold it. 125 target speed. Next one, flat out again, miss the curb. We get to the right hand side of the track and steer slightly to the left, as you can see. When we get to the start of this curve, we're going to go hard on the brakes in a straight line to stay to the left hand side of the track, opening up the right hander. We're going to go down to second gear and accelerate out in second gear. I think I've done this too early. I think I need to apex later there. So that's cost me a bit of time. Careful not to understeer off. It's easy to go on that grass on the left. Now going up to the carousel. Pretty straightforward actually. People don't like it, I think it's alright. Where this curb juts out the most on the right hand side, sort of just at the end of that shadow. Brake in a really straight line directly towards that poor marshal. Aim for that marshal. And as you get into the dip, you should be down to second gear, then you can half throttle, holding 52, 54 miles an hour around out the carousel. So into second, hold 52, 54, all the way around. You realise when it's time to accelerate, and as you bounce out, change up to third. Powering up this hill. All flat out. Make sure you had enough steering on this left hander so you don't go wide. Well, about here we're going to just dab the brakes, and we're desperately going to try and miss the curbs. I think in this demo I hit the curbs, and you'll see how much it bounces the car. Dab the brakes to carry loads of speed uphill. It's not a sharp corner. Same with the next right hander. But what you need to remember coming into these is after the second turn, the right hander, you're going to have a slightly blind braking point into another right hander. It's the only sort of blind braking point. It catches a lot of people out. If you miss it, you go straight on into the gravel on the far side. So I'm going to take this one quite quickly in fourth. Take the next one quite hit the curb. Oops, hit the curb. Oops. And about here on the top of this brow, you do need to add about 20, 30, maybe a little bit more brakes, and just drag it round the corner in third gear. Accelerating out nicely. You can go flat out here for a little. All the way around this first right hander until you see the red writing on the road. Red writing on the road, you are going to brake in a straight line a little bit, not too much, and turn left. Getting back on the throttle, and then using the curb on the left and the curb on the right to sort of straight line the next two corners. Curb on the left, curb on the right. Use a lot more curb than that. Down here until the curb ends. A lot of these corners are very similar, so 30% brake, dragging it around the corner, using your throttle to keep your speed. You can do that with a fourth, it might actually be better. It's a little bit tricky, but just before the black sign, halfway between this big white mark right in front of me on the road and the white mark further on, so halfway between them, just before the black sign. About here. Down to third gear, really downhill, easy to slide and drift off wide, so make sure you get your braking done early. Down to third and hug the corner if you can. Accelerate when you're ready. And then then when you get to this grey curve on the end, again, dab some brakes for another downhill braking zone. Do not brake too late. Oh, look, same again. End of the curb. Turn in gently, 30% brake. Use the throttle to modulate your speed around the corner. I've gone a little wide there, I think. The next spot, we're going to graze the brakes. We're going to do it just as we go onto the uphill section, so you should brake nice and quickly on the uphill. Turn in left, and then I believe you use the curb on the right-hand side to straight line this right-hander. So go over this curve. Get it flat out again, down to the jump. At the jump. So about here, your car is about to land. You're going to dab the brakes and turn it in right. Carry loads of speed. You've got another long flat out section afterwards. Dab the brakes hard. Turn in. Get on the accelerator. Flat out all through here. Up through here. Up to 5th gear. Try and straight line these wiggly bits coming up. Again, try not to hit the curb. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Until we see this catch fence on the right hand side. After the catch fence, but before this curb. Sorry, I nearly missed my pause button. After the catch fence, but before we are, as you can see, we're already on the brakes. It's going to be 30, 40, 50% brakes and dragging it around the corner. We are going to accelerate up the hill there until this little grey curve on the right ends or sort of gets smaller. And again, we're going to add about 40% brakes in 3rd gear and drag it around this corner. Accelerating only when ready so we don't go wide. Just before we get to this writing that spreads right across the road, EWA forever, I think it says. Pop it down to 3rd, turn it into the corner, and about halfway round, if you're in the bowl of the Kleiner carousel, you should be able to accelerate about halfway round without spinning out and going wide. So about now, you should be able to go nicely out. I'm going to pause it early for this corner because it's slightly easy to see. On the curb, on the left-hand side, there is small little black marks you can see going up the hill. Now, the last one of those black marks is just a dab of the brakes and a turn-in marker, but it's difficult to see as if I pause it for sort of later up the hill. So these are there, dab it and turn in, get on the accelerator, and just before this single fence on the left, we turn it in gently, then turn it in a little bit more, and you should be able to get around this second part flat out. Ready for the dotted the long straight. Relax, relax, relax. All you've got now is 30 seconds to panic about messing up the last corner. Pretty simple. I say about 6th gear I change early. I think you get more speed, means you can carry 148, 149 up this hill. You change much later in the rev bar from 5th to 6th. You definitely don't carry that speed up this hill. Keep going. Bilstein Bridge, we're nearly home. 30 seconds to go. You will be going through this left and right flat out, and you'll be looking for a muddy patch on the right hand side as that grass turns to mud on the right hand side. You go pretty hard on the brakes, pretty full to be honest, and then maybe 80% brakes around this corner, around the left hander, trying to stay left to open up the right hander. You don't do that very well. Down to 3rd, use that curb and accelerate hard. Do not hit the wall on the way out, that was pretty close. And that'll get you to the finish line in 8:36.362, which, as I said, is about 325 in the world. Now, I'll do the lap again, just without pausing, without speaking, and you can watch it. What I'll try and do is remember what I've said to you about brake markers. So as you're coming up to each corner, call out in your head or shout it out loud, let everyone know what you're looking for before you get to the corner. Is it flat out? Is it dab of the brakes? Is it firm brakes? Talk yourself round the next 8 minutes, 36, and then get yourself out there. Try it. Run 5 laps. Spend an hour. Doesn't matter if you get penalties. Doesn't matter if you crash off. Just turn the car around. Drive. You need to learn the whole 8:36 of it, and everyone's capable of doing it if I am. So here's the full lap. That's not how you do it. Enjoy, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you if you've watched this far.